Hi.
Welcome to LynchPins.
Welcome.
We're back.
We're back.
Can you believe that?
I can believe it.
I didn't think we'd ever do it again.
Liar.
I believed the whole time.
Liar.
I am a liar.
Yeah.
A beautiful liar. So are you. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. Nice to lie to you again.
I know.
Yeah.
It's been so long. I've missed the emptiness behind your eyes. My dear friend.
I've missed that being acknowledged so quickly in a conversation. Anyway, we're back.
We're back.
Picking up where we left off, except for there's been one major change that we do want to acknowledge.
Major change. Our
dear boy.
is no longer with us.
This is a week after, or 2 weeks after, the death of David Lynch, which was sad, right? I mean, I was very sad about it.
Yeah, I was surprised at the feelings I had.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, it was forthcoming. It had been foretold.
Also he'd been sick for quite some time after COVID in particular. He he had I want to say emphysema, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then, it got worse and he passed at 78. And he did like a cigarette. He liked a cigarette.
He said as himself, yes. It finally caught up to him in a way. When the fires happened, I was like, I thought it in my head. I was like, this.
That's right. This might be the thing.
This might be the thing. I didn't want to think it or say it.
Yeah.
But certainly the air quality was nothing.
It was real bad out here.
It was real bad.
Real bad. That's correct.
You had to evacuate for a minute.
I did. Not a tragedy as robust as losing David Lynch, of course, but I did flee very briefly.
Yes.
Me and some loved ones.
Yeah. We checked in the next day.
Yeah.
The photos you sent, it was Adam hugging his appliances.
Listen.
Yes.
There was a good 30 minutes where I was like, am I ever going to see any of these things again? Because I live very close to one of those fires.
It was right next to the fire point, the flash point. Yes.
Yeah, not right close to the evacuation zone, close to the fire.
The fire.
As in there was a good hour where we couldn't get out because everyone was trying to get out. And it was like, are we going to die in the streets?
Yeah.
Anyway, this podcast is dedicated to David Lynch, and we now have his complete works.
Yes.
Certainly his impact will be felt for generations. He will continue to inspire and haunt filmmakers as the years and decades roll by.
It's such a sadness that you think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone.
But we miss you, Davey, and this episode is dedicated to you. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Well, so it's appropriate that we're going to talk about probably his best received film today.
Best received? Maybe best known? I guess Mulholland Drive.
I think so. No, I think Blue Velvet's his best known.
Right.
Like if you pull a person on the street and say, hey, have you seen give me a David Lynch film or die? They're like, Blue Velvet. I think that's what they'd say.
Sure.
I think, or Twin Peaks, right? I think those are the two things.
Yeah, and probably in equal amounts.
Yeah.
And you can see so much of the Twin Peaks beginning, there's so much Twin Peaks in this. Yeah,
there's a line of evolution that I think starts here and kind of ends with Mulholland Drive.
Yes.
I don't want to spoil all of my opinions, but I think Mulholland Drive is the full Lynch, the perfect full Lynch experience. Other people will argue what is best film, and so will I, but there's a line from that film to this one where there's all kinds of iterative intervals along the way.
Absolutely. I think, from here on out, it is iconic and iconography of David Lynch.
Yes. We've chosen to go in a weird order because what we wanted to do was go from accessible to Inland Empire. And so, we're getting Lynchier every film, right?
Yes,
and I think this is probably the perfect gooey center that you're looking for if you're like, how do I get into Lynch but don't go right to the Inland Empire spectrum? Right. This is a good entry point to that, I would say. So maybe it's time to talk about what happened?
What happened?
What happened with Blue Velvet?
What happened?
What happened?
What did I just see?
Yeah, good question.
Great question.
Maybe difficult to answer. To some.
Maybe. This may easier than some.
Yeah.
This is a semi-straightforward noir. Okay, it was released in 1986.
Yes, it is.
Fun year. I wouldn't know. I wasn't born yet, but
I wasn't aware of Blue Velvet in 1986.
Right.
Safe to say.
Safe to say. Okay, starring our Kyle MacLachlan.
Yes, our little Kyle.
Yes, our Dune star.
Our sweet Dune boy.
Our sweet Dune boy.
Yeah. This is, I think, the first thing people really remember him in.
Oh, sure.
I don't think they remember him in Dune.
No, only Will remembers.
Yeah, that's right.
No, only Will.
Will remembered it, and I saw it and then was like, oh, yeah. He was in that. And then I forgot all about it because of the worm shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What wonderful and wild that he trusted him again and almost felt the need, almost indebted to put him in something else after that, you know?
Well, I didn't think he was bad in Dune per se.
No. Not at all.
No, this is a way better role for him. I mean, this is a great use of Kyle MacLachlan.
Yes. Yes.
Also, the Sex and the City role for Kyle MacLachlan, kind of good.
I have not seen Sex and the City.
Ever?
What? I have seen about 4 episodes total.
Okay, none of them with Kyle MacLachlan.
None of them with Kyle. I had no idea.
Kind of
he
liked
was
him in
it.
it. It was kind of a good use of him.
That's good casting.
Yeah.
They had really good casting for directors for it.
I think so.
Show.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, we don't have to talk about Sex and the City on this podcast. Others, perhaps. 1986.
1986. Kyle MacLachlan, Isabella Rossellini, Dennis Hopper, and Laura Dern round out.
This is the beginning of Laura Dern's career.
Yes.
She's 18 in this movie. And I want to say her next movie was Wild at Heart.
Yeah.
So she did it all.
She did it all.
In a very short period of time.
Very quick succession. Her father is a famous actor. Wonderful in
Nebraska.
Silent Running.
On Earth, everywhere you go, the temperature is 75 degrees. Everything is the same. All the people are exactly the same. Now, what kind of life is that?
Yeah, he was awesome in Nebraska, if you haven't seen that movie.
Yeah.
But I'm also a big Alexander Payne guy.
The
middle-aged white guy in me is like, love me an Alexander Payne film.
I mean, listen, there's not much to complain about.
Yeah.
But,
Sideways, get on board. What a great movie.
Fantastic film. So it clashes this psychological thriller with a neo-noir.
Yeah.
Which is a very fun combination.
And kind of ends up being his genre from this point forward.
Yes.
Like, if you can give a David Lynch film a genre, it's neo-noir. Right? And this one follows the tropes of noir more clearly than his others do.
Totally. The others may draw from the tropes, but these are the tropes interpreted in David Lynch style.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes. So Lynch had been trying to sell the screenplay for like a hot minute.
15 years, was it?
Yeah. Since the late 70s. So,
okay, so about 6 years. Not quite so long.
Well, yeah, a large chunk of time. He had just been knocking on doors. They seemed to be turned off by both the explicit violence.
Was it the gas inhalation before the?
And sometimes I wonder, did he have multiple versions of the scripts? And even the lightest version, they were like, no.
If any version of this script was presented to a studio head with the line, "Daddy wants to," I can see why they didn't go for it.
Yeah.
Baby wants to fuck.
It's a hard sell. It's the hardest
sell there is.
They like Heineken. That's a hard sell.
That's tough. Because Frank Booth is not compromising on his beer of choice.
Not at all. That line was in the first reiteration.
Heineken, fuck that shit.
That line was a thing to quote in my 20s.
Really?
Oh my! Everybody quoted that line.
Wow.
I think seeing Blue Velvet is kind of like an indie college boy rite of passage.
Totally.
Honestly.
Well, and also in a very dark film, that is a moment of comedic relief.
Yes.
So no wonder it sticks, and no wonder
it's
that's
so good.
Yes.
Heineken, pass blue ribbon. We say that all the time. So stupid.
Wow.
I love it.
Wow.
The beer wars in this film.
The beer wars.
Another subtle thing going on.
Very related to how they want to be perceived as men, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's so funny to like think about that as how you're branded.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're doing it still.
Yes.
But like that's just a funny set of brands.
Yes.
That people are warring over in this film.
And also
you know?
funny to make that the joke. A joke of the film.
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Hard to sell. Hard to sell. A lot of people passed on it.
Yeah.
But we do know that Dune broke David Lynch as a director.
Yeah.
Broke his spirit, broke his heart.
A lesser man might have gone into teaching or something.
Yes.
After that.
Yeah. I learned my time. No, this is no longer for me. But he bravely
time to start my investment portfolio. That's it for Davey.
Oh, what a terrible alternate universe.
We just becomes a banker.
Yeah.
Same hair though.
Same. Oh,
You don't change that hair.
Nothing changes about him.
That
just
hair would
his
get
career.
him more money, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, as bad as Dune was, it did introduce him to Dino De Laurentiis, who produced Blue Velvet. So if anything good came out of that production, it was this pairing.
Do I remember? Do we remember correctly that Dino De Laurentiis was the problem with Dune?
He was the
Right? Like,
the big problem of it.
Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
it's funny that you say. It's funny that you're pitching it as though like, thank God for that partnership, because also that partnership brought us Dune. So I don't know.
Yeah. It was both the bane of the existence and maybe also the balm after the crash.
Best of times and worst of times, right?
Yeah, truly.
So apparently, because I was doing some hot Wikipediaing before we did this podcast. Apparently, the deal for this was that Dino De Laurentiis gave David Lynch final cut and like full privilege, like unsupervised basically, but in exchange, David Lynch had to cut his salary way down and make this film for $6 million. You know?
Yeah.
And like, so he went from Dune, which I assume they got all that worm budget. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Just in worms.
Yeah, he hated every minute of it, but he got paid.
Yeah, those brain boys in a vat, how much did those guys cost?
Oh my
$6
God.
million each, you know? Yeah. At least.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's making this for much cheaper, but I think that's kind of his zone.
That's exactly his own.
You know?
He says in his book, the final cut became very important to him.
Oh, totally.
Especially after Dune. After that experience, he was like, I will be the last one.
I just think a producer who's like got a Hollywood sensibility is going to look at a shot zooming in on a dude's ear and be like, what the fuck are we doing, man?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Daddy likes to, but not this.
Right.
Daddy
I'm
didn't like
daddy.
to fuck
I
this.
get it.
Yeah,
I understand.
I'm daddy.
Yes.
I get it.
I get it. But not that.
Can we get the ear out, please? Yeah.
No, it stays in.
Can't do that.
Yeah. The violence, I would say, divided critics when it came out.
Yeah. Sure.
As it would. There's very famous old reviews of it that people like to read now in retrospect.
It would today.
Oh,
I think I think it's still a shocking film for its violence.
Sure.
Yeah.
And especially how grounded the violence is. A lot of films now have like very, even similar themes, but invoke other things to soften the blow, whether it's like a fantastical realism, other things to convey that happening. But there is a very effective but disturbing groundedness of the
this
violence.
film is very bold on topics that we have a lot of shame and fear around. And fearless, actually. Like, it's a fearless film in some ways to make because it's so easy to misinterpret it, I would argue.
Yes. And I think many people
then they will.
Yeah, and they will.
And
yes.
he I'm sure he knew that.
Yeah.
It's a very challenging film, I would argue, on a what does it mean level.
Right. Right.
So
yeah,
we're gonna do our best with that.
We're gonna do our best.
Yeah.
So bouncing off of that, David Lynch has said that this film was partly inspired by his time living in Philadelphia, a place that he hates.
I enjoy any time a filmmaker's like, I'm going to represent a city because that city.
Yes.
I enjoy that. Philadelphia has taken a lot of heat over the years.
Yeah, and I've never been. I can't speak to it.
I can't either.
Yeah,
my New York friends hate it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, all my Mets friends are just like, no, let that city burn.
Sure. It's also funny when the city that they hate is not like their hometown, because you understand that relationship, that history, but when it's just a different town that they have lived in at one point?
It's just prejudice. Let's just call it what it is. It's anti-Philly prejudice.
I do want to hear if anyone lives there. What is your experience?
I don't want to hear that.
Adam doesn't wanna hear it.
I don't want to hear from you. I'm okay with that in the air. I don't need to know it. Yeah, call Maggie and tell her, here's what Philadelphia is like.
Even on my voicemail.
My city discovering voicemail.
All right.
We're going to start summarizing the plot.
Yeah. We're
Now,
going to jump in. Yeah.
We're going to get close. We're going to get quicker to meaning this time. We agreed.
I think so.
Okay, great.
Yes. Also, there's a lot of, in a wonderful way, this film has a lot of vibes going on along with the plot.
Agreed.
So yeah, the plot summary in this, as say opposed to I don't know Dune, will go slightly quicker.
Yeah, well, it'll go faster than Dune, no doubt. But I am going to slow us down with a very key plot question right up top, which
Wonderful.
is
Yes.
why is Kyle MacLachlan wearing an earring in this movie? What's the deal with the earring?
The last time I watched it, I was like, what is with that earring?
What's with the earring?
Who
What is
chose
happening?
that earring?
They didn't
was
light
he
for it?
wearing it?
Yeah,
Was the costume designer pick that out specific? Did
No
David
chance.
Lynch
no chance.
ask him to wear it?
Let me tell you what it looks like.
Yes.
This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
It looks like the actor's like, look, I just got my ears pierced.
And I can't take it out.
I'm not taking it out because it's awesome.
Yes.
And David Lynch is like, all right, baby, but it's got to be the thinnest hoop. The thinnest hoop, right? A delicate hoop.
I would say
Fine.
that, except then you would go with a stud because that is even less.
But you'd see it.
Distracting.
You'd see it more. See, my thing is, I think in 1986,
Yes.
that earring was almost invisible. But now that we're
Okay.
watching this in 4K, it is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a cinema scene.
Sink, sink,
You know?
shink, shink.
Yeah.
All the lights bouncing right off of it.
Most
Yes.
of the time, it's not quite lit. Like, sort of
Right.
like when it's raining and Lost, you're like, is it raining? I can't
Right.
tell.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, but there's a couple scenes where the lights are on it, like, whoa, there it is.
Yeah.
Earring. What
Also,
are
and
we
I
doing?
will say, when you just get it pierced, you are not allowed to take it out
That's what I've
because
been
your hole will close up immediately and not just years later because you have forgot to wear it.
I have to imagine, sweet a man as David Lynch is, that he would probably be like, take it out. Take it out right now.
As sweet as he is.
Take it out.
Take that
I
out.
don't care if you just got it pierced. Take it out.
Right. Or maybe that is, as we are about to see, there is a lot of Americana, just like straight out of the 50s, but it does not take place in the 50s. So maybe that is his complication of bringing it into the modern day.
It's delightful to me that you're trying to justify this earring. It's
so
delightful to me.
distracting, yeah.
It's deeply distracting.
Yeah.
I've watched this film 3 times in prep for this podcast.
Yeah.
That earring is a scream in the night.
It is.
It is.
It
It
is.
is.
It
Whoa.
is.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
We're gonna go faster over the plot, but
Yeah,
have
that
to
is.
have the
I'm
earring.
so glad you brought that up.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
in a film that's so excited about ears. Like that
Yes,
earring.
that
It's
is
like,
the
wait a
other thing.
minute.
You saw a dead ear.
Yeah.
It's like, what about
Yeah.
this guy's ear?
He's like, I
Okay.
know how to solve this crime.
Okay.
Puts a little hoop on the ear.
And now you're beautiful.
Solved.
And then the movie doesn't happen. That's why that couldn't happen.
That's true.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Bad
We'll
idea.
rewrite that.
Take it back, but keep the earring
Okay.
in.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, it's the story
Woo!
of Kyle MacLachlan, who plays Jeffrey.
Yes.
His dad has a stroke
Mhm.
in what seems to be the beginning of a 1950s inspired music video.
Yes, we open the velvet tones of the
Yes.
song, the titular
The
blue
crooning.
velvet.
Yeah.
We waste no time in
Yeah.
introducing the name of the piece.
Yes,
Um,
sung to us in wonderful
mhm.
crooning tones.
Yes, crooning tones. We see white picket fences,
Mhm.
flowers,
Mhm. Hoses.
children, hoses,
Firefighters waving on
Yes.
trucks.
children crossing the street to
Yes.
school, walking to school. as
An
if we
old
do
crossing
that.
guard doing a great job.
Doing a great job.
Yep.
And yeah, we see his father. He gets entangled by the hose.
Now,
and a dog.
hoses will do that. Hoses will do that to you.
No, by the
They
roller
don't
cord.
like those old hoses. They weren't designed well. So
Uh-huh.
like he gets his hose snagged. A
Yep.
problem you can understand from a different time,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
it just heart attacks him. I
Heart
don't
attacks
know
him.
what happened.
Yes, we only see him on the ground.
He's
right
holding
after.
this part of his body, which I don't know what we're meant to take from that, because that's not how heart attacks feel. I don't
right.
think.
It could be the stroke. You know how one side of your body is affected.
Well,
and
they
not
put
the
him in
other.
traction after this,
Yes.
as though he'd snapped a vertebrae.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what the element is.
Mhm.
I'm relieved to spoil this film for you and say he recovers at the end.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's pretty harrowing for a second there.
It's harrowing. And
Yeah.
also to do that to a character that we only briefly saw in montage.
Yeah.
We see him in montage, we
Yeah.
move away, and suddenly he's like severely hurt and
Yeah,
in pain.
that's it for him. You're like,
And that's it for him.
yeah.
And right as we see him fall to the ground, we zoom in the camera to the dirt, into the ground, to see the bugs crawling underneath the
Just
beautiful flowers.
noshing. Yeah, they are eating dirt.
Crawling.
Loving it.
Like you hear the
Oh, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like chewing. All of David Lynch's sound design is awful in the best way.
yes.
And
So you put everything he had into
yeah.
that couple seconds
and
of,
it works.
of bug.
Well, it's very memorable, I would argue.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the portal into what this story is about, right?
Mhm.
Like if you were a director, say, and had to create a visual metaphor of what a story is, that's it,
That's it.
right? And it's
What-
well
what a
made.
beautiful,
awesome.
succinct
It's really good.
summary of, and it's before we have seen any of the other events that are about to happen. Mhm.
Yeah, you rarely get a film that decides, I'm not going to give you text as much as I'm going to give you subtext. And
Mhm.
like, we're going to start with that.
Yeah.
And there's really clear subtext visualized up
Yeah.
top in a way that you're like, I don't know what's happening, but I do know what it feels like.
Absolutely.
So,
And I think in a way, really, sets the rest of it up for success to
Absolutely.
bring that in with the, I feel almost if we started immediately with the investigation, we as an audience might get bogged down in the details, which
I think
is
we
maybe
care
not.
less about Jeffrey.
Yeah.
But
Don't
you
care
know,
about him. He comes home. He has to come home because his dad is hurt.
he has a pretty heart-wrenching interaction with his dad.
Yeah.
The only one we see.
Yeah.
Where his dad seems to be like unable to speak, and it's like, whoa, this is really bad.
Mhm.
And then like the rest of his family life seems pretty, I don't know, harmonious.
Yes, yeah.
You know?
It's just this event that brings him home, brings him in back
Yeah.
into his hometown.
Back from college?
Yes,
Is that
back
where he
from
was?
college.
Okay,
Yes.
college. Okay, great.
Yep. And it is on the way home from the hospital that he encounters the ear
Yeah.
on the ground.
A severed ear that
Mhm.
intrigues him so much that he grabs it barehanded
Yes.
and puts it in a
It's
bag.
little DNA, little fingerprints all over that piece of evidence.
It's not even that. I mean, yes, that is a huge problem.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You just
It's
got
when he licks it.
Yeah, it's when he licks it. It's that he's touching an ear, man.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, just go tell them that the ear is there.
Get a glove.
Yeah.
You know?
If anyone ever finds a body part, just go tell someone first. Don't pick it up.
I enjoyed the next scene when he takes the bag, the bagged ear,
Yeah.
hands it to the detective
Yeah.
who's playing a TV cutout of a cop,
Yes, that's a human ear, all right.
Yes.
right?
Yes,
like,
yes.
and on purpose.
Yes.
Like it's
Mhm.
he's a very surfacey
Yes.
character.
We're still like the hometown vibe. So this is
Oh,
like
yeah.
the hometown police guy.
He seems like a send up of like Andy Griffith or something.
Yes.
He's not real
right.
on purpose.
Mhm.
Anyway, so he hands him the bag, and the cop's like, "Yep, that's an ear."
Yes, that's a human ear, all right.
That's his cop word for the
Brilliant.
day.
Brilliant.
Then he takes a break.
Mhm, mhm.
Anyway, so he says he's going to look into it or whatever,
Yeah.
but that drives one of my favorite engines in a movie ever. Because all movie stories are propelled by an engine.
Mhm.
Most of them are engines of convenience or a plot thread, or whatever.
Right.
This one, he just wants to know what's going on, man.
He just fucking wants to know
What's going on?
What's going
I
on?
need
He
to know.
found that ear. He gave it away, but he's still thinking about it.
Yeah, what's
He's
going
thinking
on with
about
that
it.
ear?
Yeah.
What the hell's going on with that ear?
Yeah.
I gotta
It's
know.
Beautiful. I feel like if you try to convince someone today that, no, he's just curious, the
Yeah.
person giving you notes on the script would be like, fuck off.
Yeah, no.
Come back when this makes
No,
sense.
he needs to sell the ear to save his dead grandmother or something.
Yeah. It's
no.
actually a cube to another portal, and he needs the ear.
Right, it'd be a literal portal,
Yeah,
and so on. Then we get probably the most famous shot of the movie when they're done at the autopsy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the autopsy guy's like, "Oh, I can tell you all kinds of shit about an ear. Look, we're gonna do tests. Oh, I don't know everything about this ear.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it come from?
Yeah.
What's that on it?
Right.
I'll know all that.
Right.
Sex, blood type, whether or not the ear came off a dead person.
You know what I mean? We're like, okay, great, cool,
Uh-huh.
excited about that. And then we
Mhm.
get the zoom right into that ear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's actually our second portal.
Yes.
There's so many portals in this movie.
Absolutely.
Like there's so many. I mean, some of them are literal doors,
Mhm.
but we keep sort of going through like each dimension of what is what's underneath that.
Yes, as if we're breaking through the surface, breaking through the facade.
Yes.
That actually beautifully brings me to, so Kyle, who cannot stop thinking about that ear, ends up going to the detective's house that night just to follow up.
Yeah.
Just to see if there's any more updates, just get more info on the ear.
It occurs to me that ear had a lot of hair on it that's like, how could it have that much hair on it? What's the deal? Like,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I had some questions about the ear, but we're going to keep going.
Right. Only that autopsy man could answer all of those questions for you.
If only we'd never seen him again.
Yeah, we'd never see him again.
We'd never see him again.
There's
there's so many things we don't know about the ear, but
yeah.
what can he do?
What can he do?
Yeah.
But it's here that he meets Laura Dern, who she herself comes out of the darkness.
That was an interesting
him.
introduction for that character.
Yes.
It's sort of like, what does that mean?
Yes.
Why does she feel like she was like born here?
Yes.
You know?
And it's very wonderful. A thing that I love about this script and this story is that they both work together, aren't cohorts, but when Kyle goes off and does things by himself, he always fills her in. It keeps her updated on the case. Even, obviously leaves some details to the wayside. But in so many other scripts, it would be like, oh, who really cares about that girl? And not even keep her involved in any of the mystique, the mystery.
She would show up and either have a role in it and therefore be a sidekick.
Yes.
Or she would be a person who dispenses plot information at key times, but not be a character.
Right. But she's both. Yeah,
No,
she's both
yeah.
dispenses plot info. She's a full character. Her and Kyle have like a real connection. And she's also curious and interested in what's going on. She's a little eavesdropper.
That's a key ingredient to getting at what is Blue Velvet about. Is the first thing that most movies won't do, but this one does, is say like, everybody is morbidly curious. Everybody. And also like, when we say morbidly curious, we also mean sexually curious. It's not just that.
The taboos.
We gotta know.
Yes, we gotta know.
Like it burns in the heart. We gotta know what it is.
Yes. And even for Laura Dern, I think her coming out of the darkness is her being like, no.
I want to know too.
I know too. I want to know too.
I gotta know.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
And I'm picking up. And I'm here with you.
Given that so like, I guess I'll do like some interpretive work here.
Yeah.
So like, given that she is kind of the Madonna side of the Madonna horror split, why the darkness? Is it sort of link them together in your mind?
Well, I think she is just as curious about all these things as Kyle. She is sexually curious. She is curious about the macabre.
Here's to an interesting experience, huh?
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that is what ultimately brings them together.
Agreed.
I think it's both of their coming of age stories in a way. Both of their disillusionment of where they were born, the Americana-ness of it. I think her and coming out of the darkness is her being like, no, I'm ready to. Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel in some ways like it's only a sexual awakening in some, like you could easily reason it as just that for both characters in some ways.
Right.
That isn't all I think it is, but like anybody who wrote that essay and was like, this is just a metaphor for sexual awakening, I'd say, sure.
Right.
I can see it. I can see the grad paper on that. I understand it.
Well, I think even later, and I guess this is skipping ahead, but Laura, meets the Isabella Rossellini character. And, sure is...
Dorothy, by the way. Dorothy Valens. Yeah, here we go. Wizard of Oz.
Here we go.
Anyone? Yeah.
Dink, dink. Even that meeting, deeply emotionally affects her. And she has so much empathy for Isabella. It is, like, beautiful. And again, that's why it's like, it's also her coming of age. Because it's a very adult way to look at these things. This is a woman that needed help. And there's a lot of compassion for her in that.
I would guess that like if you were writing this as a parable in the 50s, that it would be a cautionary tale.
Sure. Like,
it would be
don't go knocking on doors that you don't know.
It would be a cautionary tale to both young men and young women. Like that would be the point of it.
Right.
Actually.
Right.
Because it does kind of feel like that.
Yeah.
Right? Especially for her, she sort of sees this contrast in what happens to this woman, and like certainly not a result anybody would be like, that looks good.
Right.
So
yeah, but anyway. I think again her compassion of the
she
situation is the thing that makes it not that. And after she's expresses that she's hurt that, getting ahead of myself, that Kyle lied to her, the next thing she asks is she okay?
Is she okay?
Yeah, she's okay.
Yeah, that was a sweet question.
Because she's deeply, and in a way a cautionary tale could be, but it is also like we have more in common than we have in conflict.
They don't make hay out of that when a lot of movies probably would.
Yeah.
They don't even really make that much hay out of Michael, is that the name of the boyfriend?
Yeah. Oh, I love that scene. Yeah,
Michael. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Basically, almost every form of jealousy between the actual youths is undermined by the severity of the rest of the story.
Yes, totally.
So, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Sandy and Jeffrey.
Sandy and Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I
love that you keep calling him Kyle.
I know.
I feel like Kyle is such a name for that character. But it isn't. It's Jeffrey.
It is Jeffrey.
I think it's the earring that makes him more of a Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jeffrey. They make a solicitous pact.
Yes.
To investigate what she has overheard her dad, the cop, tell.
Yes.
Just say on the phone, I guess.
Right. She finds out where the ear is connected to an apartment building that is conveniently located very close to where Kyle / Jeffrey lives.
Yeah.
Jeffrey has to do some bug extermination. He works at a hardware store.
Has to do some bug extermination.
And so he comes up with this idea that he's going to go to the apartment pretending to be a bug exterminator and, just gonna see what's going on.
Pest control. You gotta do your apartment.
Yeah, the bug exterminator piece of it is a fascinating piece of antiquity. Because I'm like, were they even still doing that in the 80s? It doesn't seem like a thing.
I guess.
Like it would just randomly bug exterminators like, sorry, I got to come in and spray. Let me in. Right. That's a weird thing. I believe it happened in the 50s. Meaning like somebody tells me that I'm like, sure.
Again, you're talking about, I was not even.
Those are words?
I don't know what that yet in the time.
You were not a conception yet.
It was not a conception.
Yes. I appreciate you reminding me of that. Because I had forgotten in my old age. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I wanted to say one thing about the hardware store he works at.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He has two coworkers, right, who work for his dad. It's his dad's hardware store.
Yeah.
They're both black.
Yeah.
And they're both older men.
Yes.
One of them is blind.
Yes.
And so Jeffrey holds up fingers and says, "How many fingers am I holding up?"
How many fingers?
And the blind man tells him how many. It's 4. And he says, "I'll never know how you do that," even though very clearly behind the blind man is his friend tapping on his shoulder the number of fingers. And it's like, this is our fucking detective.
Yes!
This is our
guy? This guy?
Yeah, maybe put the earring on this other blind guy. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Like,
those other two would have figured it out in like 3 minutes.
I keep wishing for no movie is the problem. Yes, you're right. My mistake.
But I do think that is a very insightful scene to include to give us a hint of where this character
clearly doing
is
this.
at.
It's like, stab his shoulder, bro. What are you doing? Anyway.
So him and Laura Dern are in on this. Laura Dern is supposed to knock at the door to distract who is ever in the apartment so that, Kyle can look around a little bit.
Does she knock on the door? I don't remember doing it.
She doesn't. We'll get to why not. So they enact this daring plan. He goes to this apartment and Isabella Rossellini is the
woman
who lives. The woman who
Dorothy.
lives. Yes, Dorothy.
Yeah.
And Kyle, is pretending to spray. At some point, a man walks in. Kyle doesn't recognize him, but this man
has
him.
The most dead-eyed, like I noticed you look in the world that never amounts to anything in this film.
Yes.
He every time he looks at it, it's like, you know what I mean? Like haunting.
Yeah.
He has pierced your soul with recognition.
It freaks Kyle out.
It freaks us out.
Yeah. It freaks us out.
I don't like it.
Didn't get a very good look at him either. Sure looked at me.
Even Isabella's like, he's just the guy.
And I think what we're realizing is the man was always a zombie. We're going to get back to that comment later. He shows up. He spoilers, is a cop.
Yes.
And that sort of it ends up being a fact we kind of need to know at the end.
Right. Yeah, but for now, he's just a guy that is giving Kyle a weird feeling. He quickly wraps up whatever he's doing, and then he runs into Laura Dern on the staircase.
Well, you say wraps up. He steals the key to this apartment from its hiding spot, wraps up his bug spray facade, and is like, I'll come back later.
Yeah.
You're like, why?
Yes.
Why?
Yes. This is
why do
where
you need to come back?
curiosity tiptoes into light criminality.
It's like criminality the moment
bad idea.
I think you could have gone to jail just for impersonating an exterminator. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Once you're stealing keys, it's like, what are you after?
Sir,
man?
Yeah.
What do you want here?
Even though, as an audience member, we want him to steal that key.
Oh, yeah.
We want to know.
Story demands it.
We want to know.
Yeah. I want to know what he's going to do.
Exactly.
Yes,
but it makes no, yes.
So in that sense, he is a hero.
Right.
But in a rational sense, it's very like, this dude has stepped over many boundaries.
Yes.
We've gone straight to pervert.
Right.
By the way, she asked him this amazing question, right?
Mm-hmm.
She being Sandy, asked him, like, I don't know if you're just like I think it's inquisitive or something, if you're just really curious or if you're a pervert. And his answer,
No, it's for me to know and you to find out.
Which anyone less charming than Kyle, it's a threat. Like, it's not cute or funny, but he's such a boyish, like,
utterly terrifying answer.
Deeply
terrifying answer.
Yes. If in real life anyone said that to you, please run.
Didn't age well. That answer did not age well.
But again, I think it's bringing his the breaking of his boy-like innocence.
Yes.
Yeah, these are the first cracks.
So the one thing I wanted to insert at this point from a filmmaking point of view that I thought was interesting is you start to notice the intentional lighting design at her apartment.
Yes.
Again, a $6 million budget, even in 1986, was not a lot of money. It's very hard to make a movie for that. So, they have lots of scenes where people are driving around or walking around at night, and it's not really lit.
Yeah, it just looks like, there's no, the intentionality is not necessarily there. It looks like someone walking around at night.
Yeah.
Period.
They haven't lit. I don't mean that it looks bad.
Right.
I just mean that it's not designed in the way, say, like a transformer is, where every single shaft of light has been considered for your enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
In her apartment, her being Dorothy Valance's apartment, you start to get the feeling like the lighting is designed for mood.
Mm-hmm.
And that really matters when he comes back and revisits it.
Yes.
So just pointing that out.
Yeah.
That this is a director who's using his resources very carefully.
Yes.
So,
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Great.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Good insight that I'm hearing
Daddy
for the first
liked
time.
to fuck.
Oh my God.
That's all we've been saying off camera.
Daddy.
We shouldn't. It's a monstrous thing that he does, but it's such a funny.
The humor really sticks with you because you need it.
Oh yeah, you need it. Yes.
Need it.
Anyway,
so Kyle and Laura Dern are still on their investigation date.
Yeah.
They go to the lounge where Isabella Rossellini is a lounge singer singing Blue Velvet.
Not a good one.
Not a good one.
Can we say that?
Yes, I love that you pointed out that she's also not having fun here as a lounge singer. She's a lounge singer under duress.
Yes.
And she is in her apartment under duress.
I don't know if you're ever confident until the very last shot of her story that she's happy.
Yes.
Even when she's expressing enjoyment, do you believe it?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
It's a very difficult character in that way.
Yeah. When she's singing, it is like a mournful, sad version
she feels
of
lonely.
The song. Yes.
Yeah. She feels lonely. It's not quite at the right tempo. And it feeds into a larger point that I want to make, that I want to make in the bigger section.
Great.
Which is that all of the 50s stuff is meant to be stagey and performative, including her lounge singing.
Yeah.
And I'll get back to why later on, because it all fits into that.
Totally.
Yeah. It's stagey.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, again, a lot of other people would be like, well, this is the time that she gets to express herself. So no, man. She doesn't want to be in any of this.
No, it's all a performance.
Bad. Yeah.
I think that's actually why probably the most striking thing of her in the movie is when the next scene essentially when Jeffrey sneaks into her apartment to look around.
Yes.
She has a signal arranged with
Laura Dern's gonna honk the horn
4 times, and then I love that she's like, I'm gonna honk it 4 times.
1, 2, 3, 4.
She's very scared, rightfully so at this point, but she's still in it.
I know, but just like pantomiming it is like such a weird David Lynch thing to do. Like, yeah, I know what 4 is, man. But I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah.
And then of course he fucks it up.
Yes. But I think he like turns on the faucet. So
The loudest toilet
honks.
in history. He flushed the toilet that sounds like it's like shooting a rocket off or something.
Yes, drowns out all of her carefully 4 honks. Doesn't hear a fucking single honk.
Yeah.
And then Isabella Rossellini
pops in to her own place.
Kyle hides in the closet. Classic.
Yeah, so that to me is also the thing that's like the key relationship or the key understanding of their relationship, which is why we return to it at the end of the film.
Yes.
Is that this guy's in her closet without permission observing her.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So like what he sees is, there's plot stuff like, that she hears about a Frank on the phone and hears about somebody who we later find out is her son and she's worried about him. But more important is that she undresses in front of him.
Yes, takes off her wig. Which,
that's the thing.
Yes,
for the wig.
That is the most like vulnerable thing you can be in front of someone that you, I guess, don't know is watching, or like, someone that,
That's what makes it feel lurid, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean lurid because obviously it's a horrible thing he's doing, like on any objective scale. Like, it's a crime he's committing. Right. It's him like invading someone else's space and seeing something that isn't, it's an intensely private act. Like undressing is not always a private act. Sometimes it's an act that's an invitation.
Right.
This felt private because it was undressing in a way that was very human.
Yes.
The wig, I mean, so like maybe some of you spot it from 10 miles away. I think the wig played well enough that it was a surprise that it was a wig.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So like, that's where you realize you've never really met this woman until now.
Yeah.
And you're meeting her in a way that's like, I'm not supposed to see this.
Right.
Yeah.
And also as like an emotional vulnerability.
Yes.
And like, wow, we've only seen this character in performance mode.
Yes.
Never being themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, what's really happening is she's getting dressed for her next performance.
Right.
Which is with Frank.
Yes.
So we meet Frank Booth, played by Dennis Hopper, easily one of the best movie villains of all time.
Hello, baby.
Shut up.
No question about it. He's, like a general maniac, drug dealer, psychotic figure.
Yes. All of the above.
Yeah. But his relationship to her is deeply twisted. And I guess I'll just describe the parts.
Yes.
So like he shows up, he's immediately verbally and physically abusive with her. Just like ordering her around, treats her like shit, like talks to her like she's less than him, tells her don't make eye contact.
Don't you fucking look at me.
That kind of stuff, right? So like,
oh wait, sorry, might need to back up a little.
No, go ahead.
A second, because Isabella does see Kyle. She
Does she
finds
see him
out.
before?
Yeah, she finds out that he is in the closet.
Oh, I forgot.
Threatens
That's
him
right.
by knife. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no.
Only because
we
there's
need to
a
do
fun
that.
parallel between what
Yes.
she says to him and what Frank says to her.
Right. So I'm sorry, I got the order of things mixed up. Right. So she discovers him in the closet before Frank shows up. She has a knife, and like suddenly this shit went real bad.
Yeah.
Right. She's like, basically, who are you?
Right. What are you doing
And
here?
he's sort of not totally cooperative. So she stabs him in the cheek.
Yeah.
Boss move.
Yes.
Like it was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
So we're getting real here.
We're getting real. She orders him to undress.
Yeah, strip naked.
So,
Perfect.
Yes, he saw
Perfect.
her get naked. You get naked. He strips.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So then she initiates a seduction.
Yeah. Come closer.
Presumably, like she's been feeling him out this whole time about whether this is what he wants. She does ask
She
some
asks,
questions.
what do you want? He's obviously like, tongue-tied.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Which I think was honest. I don't think he did know what he wanted.
Yeah.
I think he was into her.
Sure, but yeah, he's
I
not
don't think
there
he knew
for
what
that.
he was really after.
Right, right.
I think she knew what he was after.
Yeah.
So then she is sort of like, she initiates essentially like touching him and like, but like also at knife point. So there's kind of a sex and death thing going on.
Yeah, like kissing him a little bit. And don't move, don't look at me.
Don't move, don't look at me.
Yes.
Right.
Don't look at me.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's gonna get pretty wild, it seems.
Yeah.
And then Frank shows up.
Knock, knock, knock.
Yes.
Frankie's like, my turn.
So then they have this great moment where she's like, get back in the closet and keep shut. And she's like scraping his stuff into the closet with her feet and everything. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
And then Frank comes in and boy, if you thought it was weird there, no, friends. Get ready.
That was only the teaser, the setup.
Pull out your nitrous or whatever it is.
Yes.
So Frank, he's abusive, as we said.
Yes.
He's physically abusive, as we said.
Mm-hmm.
Then he starts huffing on gas. Like gas that he has like a mouthpiece
Don't know what kind of gas. We kind of briefly talked about laughing gas is my best guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's clearly something that gets him worked up, like aroused. He needs it, it seems, to get aroused.
Yeah.
Is what I...
Right. Or at least that is his emotional connection to it. I don't know, like...
It seems like he takes the gas and then like he gets worked up and like horny. So the gas sort of makes it possible for him to...
Oh, it's horny gas.
Engage. Oh, horny gas. Why didn't I guess? Yeah. Yes. It's a green-shaped cylinder, with a little winky face on it. Why didn't I think of it? Anyway, who knows? So this is when he sort of is jumping in between two different like verbal roles. Yes.
He echoes some of the things that Isabella had literally just said to Kyle. Don't move. Don't look at me.
Yes. He hits her. She seems to take some pleasure in it.
Right.
Which I don't think I believe. But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. We're supposed to not know.
It plays in a way where you're like, does she actually like this? I can't tell.
Right.
And then he is he alternates between playing like daddy raping a child.
Yeah.
And baby
needing comfort.
Comfort from his mom.
Yeah.
Oh, mommy.
So it's clearly very incestuous.
Yeah.
I had a hilarious time reading a Wikipedia summary of Frank Booth in which whoever wrote it decided to like try to diagnose
I understand this, man.
what it means. He had an incestuous relationship with his father, as indicated by saying daddy wants to fuck. Anyway, it's all there. Look it up.
Oh yeah,
it's wonderful.
I see it.
I won't presume to say that the backstory is clear here.
Right.
But what I will say is it is working on a Freudian incestuous like
totally yes as much trauma is, yes and sex or
it's all sort of a mishmash of things which must have in 1986 felt like they had discovered fucking plutonium or something. Like it must have been like whoa, you can't believe you ever seen that in a movie.
Right. Even if you could in real life unfortunately like relate to it in some way, you would never see it.
You wouldn't see it.
Movie.
Not so baldly and uncovered. Like it would be alluded to.
Yes.
It would be like a thing a character said with like a little wry smile.
It's like Norman Bates, like
but
whatever.
That's played as
that's
like
what
look
I mean.
how fucked up it is.
Yeah.
This is played for that purpose, but also erotically, I would say.
Yeah, and I think again this is where like and grounded in a horrible way. Like it
felt
very
real.
Yeah.
I thought it felt very real.
Realistic.
And that was actually the worst part of it is that it felt real.
Yeah.
So this is where I want to make the comment that out of all the spaces in this movie, her apartment is the one that was most meticulously designed from what I can tell. And specifically the walls were painted a color that I have to think is meant to indicate you're inside a womb. Like I have to think that's what it's for.
Yeah.
Because it's a color I can't get my head around otherwise.
Right.
It feels flesh toned, but like interior flesh toned. And I was like, why that color?
Right.
It's not dark or brooding at all. And like the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's that there's like this is all happening in a womb.
Right.
Yeah.
Even the it's called blue velvet, but there is much red velvet
Yes.
drapery in
Yes.
in the apartments, which
Well, the blue velvet is basically always used as a form of punishment and torture. Even when it's
Yes.
sexually deployed,
Right.
it's still shoving it in somebody's mouth.
Right. Or so in the next scene, after Kyle goes back to visit Isabella again and, kind of express that
Hey,
he cares about.
hey, I
I
care
did
about
not
you.
see that.
I'm sorry.
I saw that.
Yeah.
He goes again to the club, but this time Frank is in the audience.
Right.
Rubbing a
Rubbing
tiny
the
piece of blue velvet.
Woof. Woof.
Woof. Woof. Which again calls back to her not necessarily having fun while she's being a lounge singer. Because sometimes Frank is there just observing her. And
She
doing
clearly
it.
groks him. You know what I mean? Like there's a moment where she's singing where it like, oh no, he's here. So I think we're meant to think from that, like she does mostly have some freedom there.
Right.
But I don't know what I believe about her, honestly.
Right. Like
as
at
far
any
as-
point, this guy could,
I have no idea. Yeah, she's
Right.
living with such trauma and turmoil.
Yeah.
And seems to not have any control of her own space. Like like we see at least 3 men there.
Yeah.
All of them have control over her space. So it's pretty upsetting.
Yeah.
There's still a murder mystery here, but like I would say her relationship with Frank becomes such a centerpiece to this
Yes.
that the murder mystery starts to be like a thing that's being discussed between scenes.
Right.
You know, like so that we can actually just like get back to like these two. And like what is going on with these two.
Yeah. Kyle that night follows her home and just
Yeah.
sits and watches her apartment all night.
Oof.
Just
Yeah.
stakes it out.
The healthy move of a creep.
Yeah. And the next day he's picking up Laura Dern from school.
Right. So that's
that juxtaposition is kind of incredible.
Well, and purposefully drawn, I think.
Yes.
So like that's where we have this other interesting thing, which is like Laura Dern's character is in a relationship with a football player.
Yeah.
Who seems like, nice enough guy.
Yeah.
Even the way that he confronts earring Jeffrey is like, I don't know. That's kind of high school boys.
You stole my girl, you bastard. Now I'm gonna kick your ass. Come on.
I don't remember if this is the scene, but he sees Jeffrey pick up Laura Dern at some point while he's doing stretches on a tennis court.
Yeah.
All the football players are stretching on a tennis court, and I'm like, that's a team that does not win. I promise you that. They're not going to state this year. That can't happen. Anyway, it just made me laugh.
It's funny.
Yeah, so like Jeffrey has a conversation in the diner, which to me is a little bit of like, this is where we play adults.
Absolutely.
Like the diner is a
Both
place where they play adulthood.
Yes, because Laura's like, pick me up from school. I know I still go there, but this is actually more important.
I'm
This
not really there, man.
investigation. Yeah. So that like he does, fills her in with the, minus the, the sexual thing of it, but like fills her in with all
all the crime
noir,
stuff.
all the crime that is going on.
He never owns up to what he did with Isabel Rossellini. That's a gripe I have with his character.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that it's a problem. I mean, it's like, that's, even though I believe that would be true.
Right.
It dilutes my belief about how sincere his love can be. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I still think people can feel the way he feels.
Right.
I believe that.
Yeah, I get it in the sense that, like, I think he knows that that he's not going to be with. That's an impossibility. So why?
I think he knows that too.
Yeah.
I think in some ways she is, playing the sort of like, this is like an uncomfortable thing, but like she's like playing the loose woman you hook up with to learn how to do it. So you bring it home to the wife, kind of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's the rite of passage type figure. Like I feel like in some stories you'd hear it where like we took him to a hooker at age 18, so he learns how it all works. You know what I mean? So that when he finally gets married, he knows what he's doing.
Right.
Like
this
it's
version,
that
he at
sort
least
of thing.
has age, or he's like picking the yeah.
It's not as but like
there's a little something to that for sure.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those like rite of passage myths. Like that's kind of what it is.
And it is also in a fun way complicating that. Because like in that version of the story, it's like a wild night and then you can get it. In this, it's like, Like,
it's dark.
It's dark, and it is violent, and it is not. It's like none of those things that it is often depicted as.
No, but like, I don't know that there's ever a moment where the film lets us forget the idea that she's also a mother.
Oh,
like
sure.
the film
yes.
continues to remind us of that all the time. I think for a lot of reasons. One of them is to reassure you they're not going to get together. You know
right,
what I mean?
right, yeah. And also that she has this whole other life that we are not privy to.
Nope.
Yeah.
We're not privy to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the control that these men have over her is because of that vulnerability that she has a child.
Yeah, her son's been kidnapped by Frank, and he's being held at the house of Ben, a character I can't wait to talk about. So, like, that's kind of why she's doing everything she's doing.
Right.
Yeah. So, basically, every scene between Kyle and Sandy, up until the point where they say they're in love with each other, is her trying to talk him out of what he's doing. Don't do this anymore.
Don't do that. And it's getting dangerous. Yeah, it is not safe.
She's right. It isn't safe.
Yeah, there's a murderer. She brings up, remember the ear? Like, hello.
Remember the ear? He's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that.
And that does bring us into the scene where Kyle finally comes face to face with Frank Booth.
Hey! Hello, baby. Who is this fuck?
So he's having sex with
Isabella.
with Dorothy.
Yes, Dorothy.
Yes. That's a key ingredient because she's still trying to get him to like hit her and like do that stuff, and he kind of doesn't want to do that.
Right.
But he does some of it.
He does some of it.
And it bothers him a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. He didn't like,
That's not your thing. I get it. So like they finish up, and that's when Frank shows up, and Frank's not cool.
No.
Not cool.
No.
He shows up with his gang of ghouls.
Yeah.
One of them is Brad Dourif.
Yeah.
I love him. Brad Dourif wearing a silver jacket and like grayish pants and hair with like that's like combed down in a way that even the 80s didn't allow you to do, like an anime villain.
Yeah.
And I was like, thanks, Brad Dourif.
Yeah.
Every time he shows up.
Brilliant. The whole gaggle of people, both terrifying and the comedic relief of this of the most like terrifying moments of the movie.
In Lumberton, North Carolina, these are scary people.
Yeah.
If you ran into them in like, I don't know,
you beat them up.
Echo Park, you'd be like, oh, so are we going to the Magic Castle?
Yeah. Okay, boys.
What are we up to here?
Yeah.
Out for a night of bewilderment and delight?
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway. It was again, it's Lynch wonderfully threading that of like the most terrifying parts. I will also lace with some. This is where we get the Heineken.
Yeah, fuck that. Right.
Pabst Blue Ribbon!
Yeah.
So Frank kidnaps him, takes him to a brothel. I don't know what Frank's plan was.
Or if he has a plan.
Yeah, or if it's just like, we're all having a good time.
Yeah. He
Frank style.
does yell, let's fuck anything that moves.
Let's fuck! I'll fuck anything that moves!
So
I'll fuck anything that moves.
yeah.
Man.
I think that's the plan.
Every line is a treasure trove from this guy.
Yeah.
They're insane.
Yeah.
So he brings him to, the important thing is we get to this brothel. We agree that that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the brothel's got kind of a sad vibe.
Yeah.
But it's run by Ben.
Yeah.
Ben. What's his deal? Fantastic is part of it. He is delightful.
Yeah.
He has clearly powdered his face. He's wearing lipstick.
Yes.
He seems like he's on something, but also he's the coolest guy ever.
You are so fucking suave.
Yeah. Cooler than anyone else in the group at the moment.
Even Frank seems to be like, are we cool, Ben? Because like,
Yeah.
I just want to hang, man. Is that cool? Frank seems like he really likes Ben.
Yeah.
Now, this is maybe where it's appropriate to ask the question, do you think that we're queer coding Ben? Like, what does it mean? What's that mean? Anything?
I think so. I think that's part of the breaking of expectations.
Yeah.
Again, this like super macho group of people, one are dressed lame, like weird and lame.
Yeah, they're weird and lame, yeah.
Weird and lame. And then we go to Ben, who we have only heard in like hushed, horrifying tones, and it's
kind of like this guy seems fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like he seems like a
this
kind
guy
of a cool guy. I like. Yeah.
And the subversion of Frank being deferential to him is very like.
Yeah. Well, so he is the drug connect. That part we get very clearly. Like they have a drug called Crazy Clown. Love it. By the way, David Lynch released an album. On it is Crazy Clown Time, a song that I have played on dates because it's hilarious.
Yeah, you played it a lot.
I love that song.
Yeah.
It's very stupid and amazing. Anyway, I love it. So then, so this is why I say the queer coded thing.
Yeah.
Because so Ben sings an impromptu karaoke performance of a Roy Orbison song. That's I think it's In Dreams, right? Isn't that the song? And it's like really like all these karaoke moments in Lynch's filmography. It's like, man, he's really getting at something. You know what I mean? Like it feels very like, man, there's something here.
Deeply emotional. Frank is getting emotional watching it.
But it is emotional. There's something very beautiful and tragic about it. He's holding a light that looks like a microphone. It lights up his face in an interesting way. There's a sadness to it.
Yeah.
He has this sort of, there's a sort of sad, tragic thing, and it's very moving. And you notice that Frank is moved by it. And then you sort of also notice that Jeffrey is has a little bit of a note of disdain. For him. Right? In this way that's a little bit like, hey man, that seems a little judgmental. Even though I get it, you've been kidnapped and aren't happy. I understand. But also like this guy's doing a thing, let him do it. You know, what's wrong with it?
I wanted this second.
Yeah. So Frank gets so upset that he has to like huff stuff and Ben's like, all right, we better chill out now.
Yeah.
But there's this really interesting moment that happens in that whole melange where Ben takes a stomach punch at Jeffrey. And it felt very much like not like a bully taking a free shot, but more like you don't accept me. Like there felt like there was a judgment in it and a retribution for it. And that's where I started to think like, is this queer coding? I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that?
I think that's very interesting. A thing that it reminded me of, and partially because the makeup is almost exactly the same.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
But he loves that mime makeup, by the way.
Yes.
He puts it on somebody in every movie.
Yes. Great call. It's unsettling in all the right ways.
Yeah.
The film The Damned is, long story short, if you haven't seen it, it's very good. But it is about a group of Nazis who, they can do anything they want.
Personal morals are dead. We are an elite society where everything is permissible. These are Hitler's words.
And one of the main characters is queer-coded with that exact same paint, with that exact same makeup. And this specific character is so powerful that he is able to flaunt his queerness.
Like he's transcended it.
Yes, he has so much power over the people around him.
Einen Mann, einen richtigen Mann.
Yeah.
Much like in this scene, he's the drug guy. Even, Frank is giving him deferential treatment. They are so powerful in where they are that they don't need to conform to the masculinity that the rest do.
No other director would make something out of this character.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, or even include him.
Well, they would have some guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it would be
not like that.
But it wouldn't be like such an interesting right turn.
Right.
Where you're like, what's this guy's deal?
Right.
You know?
We also just happened to see the film Compulsion.
Yes.
Which is also a great film. And the same actor.
Dean Stockwell.
Yeah, Dean Stockwell. He is also in Compulsion playing a queer serial killer, basically.
Do you have to attack me, Judge?
I don't have to do anything.
I'm gonna have to see that movie now.
I
really like Dean Stockwell. This role, I think it every time I watch this movie. I'm like, man, there's a lot to this little tiny role that he did. Anyway.
Yes.
I believe Frank screams "I'll f anything that moves" when we do the hard cut that makes him disappear and the frame is empty. It's like, wow.
Wow.
By the way, Frank and his goons are not 50s coded.
Yes, no.
His car, a Dodge Challenger, is like a contemporary car, I want to say. The Dodge Challenger, the least time-bound thing in this, or at least 50s thing in this movie.
Right.
Anyway, they're on the highway.
Yeah.
Weird shit's happening at every quadrant of this car.
We do get the first iconic lines of a highway going very fast. David Lynch shot that we will continue to see. This is
It's best in Lost Highway.
Yeah.
But
it makes the most sense, but it's funny.
But it's awesome here.
Yeah.
So like they stop, they go through a bunch of weird like places or whatever.
Right. Frank's huffing.
Frank is huffing. It's not clear. It seems like he wants to have sex with Isabella Rossellini in the car.
Yes.
While Brad Dourif is sleeping with one of the women from that place.
Yeah.
While the other two guys are like, one of them just keeps introducing himself, which is kind of a funny bit. And the other one's just like a random goon.
Yeah.
Just random
I'm
goon.
just the other goon.
Yeah. I'll be a great bed, sir. Would you like to sleep on me? Anyway, so like that's his plan. And finally Jeffrey stands up for himself and says, hey, leave her alone.
Hey, leave her alone.
Hey, leave her alone. Then punches him.
Yeah, he punched him pretty hard too. And you're like, oh, well, that's gonna be
bad for you,
That's
dude.
gonna be something.
Yeah.
Frank somehow loses his shit to another degree.
Yes.
Like somehow he hulks up.
Yes.
Like loses his shit, puts on some lipstick. And then kisses Jeffrey, much worse than any beating up. Let's be honest.
Oh.
He's mauling him like an infant. Like, have you ever seen an infant kiss?
Yeah.
Where it's like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It
like
just
that's what he does
his
to him.
face for a second.
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah.
Lipstick all over Kyle's
everywhere.
poor face.
Lipstick everywhere.
Lipstick everywhere.
Yeah.
Blue Velvet starts playing.
That's right.
In Dreams starts playing.
In Dreams again. Right.
In Dreams,
right.
Frank starts saying the lyrics.
Yeah.
To
whispering them to him.
To Jeffrey, right after we hear them. It's
it's very difficult as a writer and a director to think of what's a thing that makes my bad guy so unhinged that he's terrifying.
Yes.
What can I do that would make that happen? And like, I don't know how many screenplays I've written or read where somebody tried to do it. I don't know if anybody did it like David Lynch did here. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
It's unreal. You're like, this guy is fucking terrifying.
Yes.
Yeah.
The unpredictability of this man.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Woo.
And he's not like efficient or like deep psychopath on like a Joker level.
No.
He's psychopath in like a you could meet this guy way.
That is what is so terrifying about it.
You could see running into him. I could see it.
Yes,
you know?
yes. He has the full range of human emotions. We see him sad. We see him happy. It is just the moments that they are applied is what makes him one of the best villains of all time.
Yeah, he's really great.
Yeah.
Anyway, they beat him up.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, after he gets beat up, is like, you know what I should do? Talk to the cops.
Yeah.
So he does.
Yeah.
So he does.
Yeah.
Goes to Sandy's dad after him and Sandy sort of argue about it a little bit. Sandy's dad's like, is my daughter involved in this? And he's like, no. He's like, good, because I don't want my daughter involved in this.
Right.
We're good, sir.
So he goes to the police department where he sees the very first guy that gave him those beady eyes in Isabella's apartment. He gives it to him again.
Wearing the yellow. We call him the man in yellow from this point on.
The man in yellow.
Which is what he deserves because nobody's wearing that suit unless they want to be labeled.
It is like, why? If not to make him point out.
I don't think you could find that suit right
No.
now. I think if you tried to find it, where would you find it?
If you tried to get it made, the tailor would be like, I'm not making that color suit.
Somebody's going to recognize my work.
Yeah,
I can't have that.
Absolutely not. Not with my hands.
Now take this nitrous and get out of here.
Yeah. Calm down. So he realizes that guy is a cop. So he goes to Sandy's house to talk to Sandy's father privately.
Right.
Gives him some photographs.
Who's just the 50s daddest.
Yes.
Just turbo 50s dad. Yeah.
My daughter's not involved, is she?
I hope my daughter's not involved.
Is Sandy part of this? Oh, no.
She's not. She's actually not.
Of course not.
Again, any other director would probably make her involved, but she's literally not.
She knew things.
Yeah.
But she's not out there,
right?
Huffing horny juice or whatever.
As far as we know.
If she's doing it, it's not in scenes we've seen.
Right.
But this is probably the right time to interject. The original cut of this for David Lynch was 4 hours. So, who knows?
Whoa. Not final cut, but original cut.
The original rough cut, 4 hours.
4 hours.
Apparently Megan Mullally had an entire role
Holy
that was
shit.
cut.
Wow.
Just all of it cut.
Wow.
Bummer.
That is a bummer.
Yeah.
Damn.
Who knows what she would have done?
Who knows?
Can't believe it.
Right.
Anyway.
So after that, I keep Kyle and Laura, Sandy and Jeffrey, have like a fun little date. This is the first time we see them.
This is when they're like actually together.
Yes.
We love you,
Yes.
each other. We're
We
falling in
love
love.
each other.
They're not. He's not jerking her around.
No. Yeah.
There was a scene way earlier that was like part of their like, should we keep doing this?
Yeah.
Where she has a kind of like, sort of, this is where I kept bringing up the Madonna horse stuff. They stopped in front of a church and Sandy reveals the content of a dream she has.
Yes.
That's like essentially kind of a prophetic vision about like the robins are all coming and they're going to fill the world with love.
And the robins represented love.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very clearly this like yang to the yin of Dorothy.
Yes.
This is why the Madonna whore thing gets brought up.
Right.
Like,
right.
You know.
And also, she's the counterbalance to losing your innocence.
Right.
Is all of these things. It is but there is also kind of a beauty in it because
Absolutely.
you weren't real when you didn't know that these things existed or didn't consider them.
She is still retaining a kind of innocence that we're rapidly running toward destroying.
Yeah,
I would argue.
I would say less innocence and more, even knowing this, it is still worth it for us to love each other. It's almost the
I see.
yes
That's
and.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I can go with the yes and.
Yeah,
That
like
makes sense to me.
we're both losing our innocence in a way, but it is not all bad. Like
But
there
it's
is
not
beauty
bad.
in that too. Yeah.
No, this is what continuing on after that means.
Yeah. And also like violence and all of these dark things are real, but also is love.
But our love is real.
Yeah.
The robins are real.
Right.
At least at this point they are. Anyway,
Mhm.
so on the drive, the ride home from this date gets pretty eventful.
Yes.
So they've confessed love to each other. That's important because the movie never contradicts that again.
Right.
Then they get into a car chase with who turns out to be Michael. For a little bit, we think it's Frank.
Yes, of course they're getting chased by a car.
Yeah.
All this crazy shit happened like literally yesterday.
And Michael's doing a lot of chest thumping and is, but it's very high school. And like in the middle of this argument,
yes,
Dorothy emerges from the shadows, beat up and stripped nude.
Completely naked.
And it's very like, whoa.
And she is out of it.
She's out of it, like delusional.
Mm-hmm.
She's like crying. She doesn't seem to be seeing what's happening.
Yes, it's not taking it in. Poor Kyle, which is Laura Dern's football boyfriend, immediately is like, I'm sorry.
I didn't know.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. I didn't know. I'm really sorry.
That is so.
I believed it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like just even giving that guy like his like
human moment.
grounded. Yeah. And he's like genuine. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Like.
Well, because it becomes much more clear to him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because nobody understands what's going on here.
Which is almost like a microcosm of the movie. These like teenagers pantomiming being an adult, actually being confronted by violence and sex and
real deep trauma and wrong. Like
yes.
it's like this. What happened to her is not a thing that she's gonna sail past in a week or two. Like it's not. It's gonna be with her.
Yeah.
So they take her into Sandy's house. Her mom is there. That's an awkward conversation where they don't actually talk about what it is, but it's very clear because of things that Dorothy's yelling.
I love you! Love me!
Jeffrey's relationship with Dorothy is not what he's represented it to be.
Right.
Like there's been intimacy between them. Sandy's very clearly hurt. An ambulance shows up to take Dorothy away. And it's kind of this, they sort of immediately forgive each other in the next scene. So it's not a real crisis.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, now we have to make some adult decisions.
Right.
So it matters in that way.
Right.
So the decision they try to make is we're going to let the cops handle it, which lasts for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then he ends up having to go to the apartment where he discovers both Isabella Rossellini's husband, who's been murdered, and like we finally see that's the guy whose ear has been missing.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Don't know him, but fine. And standing next to him is the shot through the brain man in yellow who is not dead, but he's frozen in a catatonic state. He's doing a thing that I can't understand.
Yeah.
Can't fathom it.
Right.
Because every time you think, is he just dead? Like, what's his deal? He moves or he spits blood or something. And you're like, so he's not dead.
Right.
But he's able to stand.
Right. You know, there's a lot of fatty tissue in the brain. You know.
I mean, I'm not making fun of David Lynch when I say
no, it's harrowing.
It's actually really creepy.
Yeah.
And it kind of works even though it's completely irrational.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't happen. Fundamentally irrational. I mean, I can't believe it would happen.
Right.
Fundamentally irrational, and yet he stands there in this weird, haunting way.
You know, there's a lot of people that have gotten shot in the head and are able to make it miles and miles, or like stand for a lot. It has to be in a weird spot. But
well, he got shot in the brain. Like you see it. It's not anyway. By the way, the violence here is really graphic.
Oh yeah.
Really graphic. So he ends up using a walkie-talkie to warn Sandy's dad about, hey, like
people are dead
people are here. Yeah, people are dead. This is where I am. I'm in trouble. But he realizes Frank, who's in a disguise.
Yes.
Frank's in a disguise with black eyebrows,
looks like
black hair.
Reynolds for a second. Just like wig, curly hair, and mustache.
He looks like Burt Reynolds.
It's Burt Reynolds. No, it's not. It's Frank.
They call him the well-dressed man. And I, for the life of me, I cannot figure out what the scheme there is. I cannot figure it out other than it just makes Frank happy to do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I believe.
Yeah.
I believe he's like, I just feel better when I'm in this wig.
Burt Reynolds is a very attractive man.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to look like him?
So he's in a wig. He overhears the stuff on the walkie-talkie. But fortunately for us, Jeffrey's smart enough to know that he heard it.
Yeah.
So he puts the walkie in the bedroom. He hides in the closet. They miss each other for a moment, and then right as Frank figures out, oh, you're in the closet, and he's going to shoot him, blam, right through the brain.
Yep.
And it's pretty graphic and pretty well done.
Yeah.
And we basically resolve the film with, turns out Sandy and Jeffrey get married. They're living an idyllic life way back, just like the film never happened.
Right. Back to the beginning of the film. Yeah.
Same music, same shots in some cases.
Yeah.
Isabella Rossellini's reunited with a child, so presumably she's okay.
Yeah.
But one crazy thing happens, and that is he wakes up to a bird, and that bird is not a real bird. That bird is a robot bird. They see this weird robot bird, okay? Then they go in the house where they're like, we're really happy here.
Yeah.
And they see the bird eating a bug. And neither of those things look real.
Yeah.
And they're both like, man, isn't that just life, right? Like they kind of just contemplate this weird robot bird. And I have to believe that robot bird is on purpose. I do. I believe it's fake on purpose.
I mean,
talk about
them
why.
And the belief. Yes, the continuation of everything's fine. Everything's not fine.
Yeah.
I just saw everything that happened.
Yeah, you just shot Frank without his wig in the brain.
Yeah, without his wig.
And
without his
let the
wig.
man die with his wignity.
Come
You know
on.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's time for us to ask what really happened.
Have you noticed these movies are getting
Have I noticed?
Weird.
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 It was a thrilling moment in this movie when they just cut to that woman from the brothel dancing. Like nothing's happening.
Yes.
Just, I know my role here.
Yeah.
It's dancing on the car.
Hold on.
Excuse me.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, man, you're killing it.
Yeah.
You are killing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, what really happened is where we talk in some more detail about the meaning of the film, some of the themes of it. We've been doing some of that. Maybe we hit some highlights because we've already gone a little long.
And I will say, of a lot of David Lynch's work, this is the one where it's like the theme is both the very first thing that happens, underlined several hundred times throughout the picture. And if you walk away not knowing the theme, that's okay.
Yeah.
but also,
do you watch movies?
Yeah. Have you met a movie before?
Yeah.
101. Yeah.
I think that's why people like it so much.
Absolutely.
That, like, I think it invites a deep watch for people who wouldn't normally want to watch a movie like that.
Totally. And a lot of times I think directors feel like they need to like hide the meaning so deep in it where it's like not even recognizable anymore. Mother comes to mind. The film Mother. Don't know if you've ever seen it, but if you've seen Mother, exclamation point, that would be
about
my...
the Aronofsky film?
Yeah.
Great. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Mother.
Yeah.
Right. That's one where it's like...
I'd had enough of J-Law by that movie. And then I watched The Hot Ones. Got all the way back.
Yeah.
She brought me all the way back.
All the way
what
back.
do you mean thing? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Great. But this film is so great in that it gives you the theme so you are able to watch the plot of the film along with its deeper meaning.
Yeah. So like we're not at the point yet in David Lynch's filmography where we just lose the text altogether.
Right.
But we're getting there very soon.
We're on our way.
We're well on our way.
Yeah.
But this is probably the perfect intersection of David Lynch working on unconscious levels, bringing out unconscious and subtextual things for us to see and like overtly analyze as the main thing, but still having a plot and coherence so that it's accessible. That will stop being true in his filmography, which I'm like fine with that.
Right. You've already done it. You actually did it here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the most obvious thing that's happening here that probably bears mentioning, and then I also want to talk a little bit about in technique, is that this is an exploration of Americana and how it is not real.
Yes.
So like David Lynch is obsessed with the 50s. All of us know that. But one thing that he's really good at is defining the facade of the 50s.
Yes.
How the 50s were not a real thing.
Right. And not a lot of people who love the 50s, that's what they love, the facade of it. Or the unnaturalness of it is what they love. But David loves it, knowing and pointing out
to pull off the wig of it, if you will.
Yes.
That's
the wig
to remove its wignity. Yes. I enjoy how much I got you at this.
I know.
Wignity is really, we did it. Anyway, so he does this for the purpose, I think, of sort of unmasking the major unit of meaning in the 50s, which is the American family unit, right?
Yes.
The American family unit is still a subject of constant political discourse, argument, and all this stuff. And I think for good reason. And it's still a meaningful conversation in a lot of ways. This film enters at a really interesting time where family values were back in the mainstream in the 80s with Reagan and all this stuff.
Under the leadership of President Reagan, our country is prouder and stronger and better.
Yes, it's a new morning in America.
It's morning again in America. Today, more men and women will go to work than ever before in our country's history. This afternoon, 6,500 young men and women will be married.
Yeah, so he rips a family apart to get into this story, right? Like that's how it begins.
Yeah.
The father has a strange, tragic accident. Without that, this story doesn't happen.
Right.
Right? And because Jeffrey's dead is shattered, thus making him get an earring, he has to explore all this stuff that is actually family trauma.
Right.
Right? Because that's what Frank and certainly Dorothy are going through. And then like sort of learn from that darkness and bring it to a maturation in his family that's like the next generation.
Right.
That's an interesting
or not,
cycle.
Depending on how the robot bird. Yeah, depending on what that means to you.
See, that's why the robot bird, I think, is perfect. Because I think that tells you that they've chosen to live in a facade.
Right.
But it's
they
still
see
a facade.
It. Yeah. Yes. They see it for what it is.
Yes.
And still find their corner of peace, and happiness within the facade of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not asleep. Is how I would interpret
Would you
that.
dare say these two characters became woke. Is this, would you say,
I'm sorry. Can I get my monocle before I answer? let me harness my brandy before I answer. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Obviously, this is what this is what we mean by that. That's the most obvious thing that's going on. There's a lot of other things, but it's the one that's probably the most powerful.
Yeah. And I think very interesting how, especially within Americana, violence and sex is tied so closely into that breaking down of the mythical, family units. Yeah.
Certainly, Frank Booth isn't just a satire of the breakdown of American family, but he is that.
He is that. He is both that and a full creepy human being. Yeah.
Well, who still has a kind of nostalgia.
Yeah.
And who I think actually does want intimacy.
Sure.
I think his sexual activity, while deeply disturbing and coercive and monstrous, is still about intimacy, like wanting intimacy.
Right. Well, same with Isabella. Like her version of that is almost the mirror of it. Like she is abused, she's under duress, she's not there of her own will, and even within that, she and Kyle have a connection. Still,
yeah, she doesn't know how to have a normal relationship with him, or maybe isn't.
And how would or doesn't want one.
Maybe doesn't want one. Yeah, that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
So what else you got for this segment? Did you have another?
I mean, I think that's the big one. The other one that is deeply connected to that is, as we expressed, like the people, us going into another layer, people coming from
the
through
portals.
the fog. Yes. The thing that everything is maybe a little more complicated than we want to or hope to believe. It was the complication of the family unit, but even individual characters, how they present themselves versus who they are. Like Frank is, a scary, terrible monster, but we do see him cry, and that's terrifying in and of itself.
Yeah, humanizing a villain is actually the best way to make them scary. There's a fun thing that I do in film school all the time. I'll show the scene from Silence of the Lambs where Hannibal Lecter is talking to Clarice and makes her tell him the why did you leave the ranch?
Tell me, Clarice.
Yeah, that's
why did you leave?
Why did you leave that ranch, Clarice? Anyway, and it's very difficult for a young film watcher to identify why they feel so creeped out by him. What is it about him that's so creeped out? And then you start asking those dramaturgical questions. Well, what does he want in the scene? And they're like, well, he wants to torture her. Like, no, that's not what he wants.
Yeah,
he wants to mess with her.
Cage,
Nope. He's in love with her. That's what makes it so terrifying.
Right.
It's the human part of him that's scary. And really great directors understand that. The humanity of a villain makes them more terrifying.
Yes. Because, it goes from a comic book villain that we can read, whatever, to I know that guy. I've seen that guy.
Yes. And I share pieces of him, and that's what really scares me.
Yes.
I completely, that's right.
Yeah. David Lynch is a director that is so great at giving his characters humanity.
Yes.
Isabella's character, there's so much compassion and sympathy and scared for her and
she has an interesting new twist in behavior every scene. Every scene's didn't think she was gonna do that. Whoa, didn't think she was gonna do that.
Yes.
So she's not a what you would call a perfect victim.
Yeah, because that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. And I think this film is interesting for presenting that to us. Even though she clearly is a victim, it's still complicated.
Yeah,
and that's fascinating. Makes you kind of want to ask, wait, what?
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
So, why don't you start since we're kind of already on the subject?
Yes.
Of
great.
Yeah.
Great. I simply wanted to discuss Dennis Hopper's performance.
That's all I've ever wanted to talk about.
As the Frank Booth. This is both a great story and also a terrifying story, if you think about it for like a couple seconds.
Yep.
So Dennis Hopper, auditions. Dennis Hopper tells David Lynch, no, you don't understand. I need to play Frank Booth because I am Frank Booth.
I know. I've heard it. I've heard that before.
That is like one of the most terrifying things to say.
I don't know what to make of that. I have to agree with him because he did it.
Absolutely.
And he did it in this way it's not projecting. And it's not imagining a villain.
No.
It's deeply in touch with his own impotence and fury.
Yes. Yes. That the idea of I have so much pain and I am going to push all of it out onto my target to the point where I can and will control them. So there's no opportunity for me to ever be vulnerable or feel anything.
Yeah. You wonder if he just had to go home and wear the wig just to cool down.
I know. Maybe that's why he's dressing as Burt Reynolds by the end. He's like, oh yeah, I want to be
the well-dressed man is an important part of my ritual.
All right.
Please give me my eyebrows now. Please give me my dress eyebrows. Thank you.
Oh my God.
It's an incredible performance.
I mentioned this in the summary, but I do think one of the most like terrifying aspects of this performance is that throughout the film, we see all of a humanistic emotions enter and leave Frank Booth.
And depart.
Laughter. Crying. Touched by art.
Meaningfully
and
moved.
Yes, all the way to bone-chilling violence and control and is purely almost sadistic in a way about when he feels what and the incongruence of not feeling sympathy in this moment, yet feeling it later when he's watching his friend pantomime a song.
He just seems like a man that's entirely chased around by impulses.
Absolutely.
But they hit him full throttle and he has no control over them.
Yes. Well, and even just like the idea that, again, you're just going back to like the comic book villain, like, I am evil, ha ha. And Frank Booth is unquestionably evil, but in the same way that there is no perfect victim, there is no evil human that is without humanity.
Without a shred of the thing that makes us dignified.
Yes, and in the same way that, when someone is a victim and they're like, she did this and that doesn't make them not a victim. In the same way, when someone is an evil and acts evil upon others, some people try to defend it like, but like, he was like really nice to me once. Or, these things like that also does not disprove that he was this way. Both are absolutely within the realm of humanity. And I think it's just such a nuanced and accurate way to depict someone like this.
It's why we remember him.
Yeah.
I would be fascinated to hear any description from, or I'm sure it doesn't exist, but if it did, of either Dennis Hopper or David Lynch talking about what is this character's backstory.
Sure.
Like that, if they had that conversation.
Right.
I would think they would.
Yeah, or like as an actor.
Be fascinated to hear what that is.
That is, Dennis Hopper for sure did that.
Oh, he had to.
Yeah,
he had to.
And I imagine Lynch being interested in
I would think so.
Yeah.
David Lynch, like I know he met with his actors a lot, so one would think they would have talked through their backstory. Right. Dennis, this has gotta be his most famous role, right?
I assume.
Certainly Apocalypse Now, Easy Rider. I mean, he was in a bunch of things, but I feel like those three are the things that we remember him for.
And this is what, again, it is so emotionally charged that it just makes
You're just not ready for it.
Yeah.
You are not ready
for it. It'll stick like in your psyche.
Yeah.
Like a little mechanical bird. It'll just
chewing your brain like a tiny little robot bug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of tiny little robot bugs, I wanted to talk about the production design of this movie.
Please.
So, when is this movie is a good question, because the movie isn't a particular time other than it's not later than 1986 and it's not earlier than 1950.
Right. That's why The Ring is such an enigma.
Yeah, it's like certainly there are things from the 80s and there are things from all these decades, including the Roy Orbison song. But what happens is, like, production design very carefully lays this like very thin veneer of 50s on top of the world in a way that's meant to just sort of evoke in a nostalgic way what the 50s were, and then almost always undermine it. Almost every time, right? Like basically every time a more contemporary decade intrudes, it is to undermine the idyllic sense of the 50s. We get the most of it. It's like max 50s at the beginning and the end.
Yes.
But like there's like little flourishes and touches of it all throughout. But always being put together in this way that's meant to be ripped apart. Isabella Rossellini's wig is a good example of that. Also, I think the two different cars, right? Like, so the 50s coupe that we're driving around in with Jeffrey, but then contrast that with Frank Booth's car that's very much not from that.
Right.
Like very contemporary. And it's very hard to do a blended time period and not have it stand out.
Yeah, or even get confusing to someone watching it. Yeah.
Or for it not to work. You know what I mean? Like when you're production designing a world, meaning you're creating the reality of the world, you're always choosing to exclude something. You know what I mean? Like you're choosing to emphasize something, exclude other things. If you're not doing that, you're not production designing. So like this was a very carefully curated experience to constantly button a 50s thing in a world that where it doesn't really fit or work. Including the way the buildings look and the way the things are lit. And that's a difficult job. It's actually harder to do that and for it to work than, say, blending the 50s the way Top Gun did, which was about a year earlier. Top Gun is doing the same 50s nostalgia as Blue Velvet, but it's doing it in a way where you're not aware of it being almost a period piece and where you're not thinking about the satire of it. You're just enjoying the ride and the Doobie Brothers of it all, or whatever, you know? Is that I forgot who sings the song. I forgot.
I don't know, but yes.
Kenny Loggins. Well, I don't remember what the song, the person who sings the You Lost That Love and Feeling. I don't remember. The Righteous Brothers. Thank you. Yes. Like, so you're soaked up in like this old timey stuff that's very nostalgic, but not being played just as a 50s throwback, but that's actually why you love it.
Right.
Like that's much more maniacal and commercial.
Yeah.
What Blue Velvet's doing is shoving some roses in your face, you know, and then breaking your hose, if you will. You know what I mean? Like doing all that stuff.
Right.
So that takes a certain kind of curated, thoughtful directing to achieve it. David Lynch makes loud production design choices. He did it in Dune.
Yeah.
He'll do it again in other movies. This is, I think, my favorite of his designed satire because it works. And he did it on a shoestring budget. So, and that's very challenging.
Yeah.
Well done.
Damn.
Well done, Davey.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well, should we go to our spotlight?
It's time to spotlight. Finally back in the fluorescent glow where we always belong. Yum, 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 yum.
So good.
Yeah. What did we want to spotlight today, my friend?
You know, so spotlight is where we have been tracking the
Lynchisms.
Lynchianisms of it all.
That's right.
And there's a lot in here.
This one hits a lot of bingo cards.
It does.
For sure.
For sure. First and foremost, this is the first time we see the Speeding Road Lions.
Which we love.
Very
excited to continue that pattern.
Yeah, we'll see it again. And here's its first utterance.
Incarnation.
Into the world. Yes. Fire. There is random fire transitions.
The same feeling that we get in a more intense way in Wild at Heart.
Yes.
Which is, his next big film.
Right.
So yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is where I think this is maybe one of the best examples of the blue-red dichotomy.
Well, on the drapes. So like when you think of David Lynch, the hefty velvet drapes is like part of the look. You probably don't think of it as much from this movie as from Twin Peaks.
Right.
But this movie is kind of like where the idea really springs into being. I don't want to. This is your list. I want to make sure.
No, okay. We can bounce.
Certainly Americana.
Yes.
Which we've talked about quite a bit.
Yes.
Certainly melodrama, which he's never made a film without some of that.
Right.
Ever. I want to hear what you say about the next one.
Sex scenes that have narrative weight.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you mean? Said it like that.
It's like not just any smut.
You need to listen, not just
smut.
Not to tickle these little
not to tickle
peepers.
Your burned out retinas.
Yeah. No, not just for that. It's there.
You're gonna take some story with it.
Yes.
You're gonna eat some story.
Yes. Story and character and motivation.
Yeah.
I would purport to argue.
Yeah, he doesn't really burn through sex scenes for funsies.
No. And they're not, especially in these they're not fun. Some of them are lighter than others.
None of these are fun.
Yeah.
Other movies, there's a little more joy and the thrill of it, I would argue.
Moira Kelly.
You love it.
Moira Kelly, One
She's
Tree
never
Hill
let
and
anyone forget.
Lion King fame. Yeah.
It's not what she's famous for. She's famous for the cutting edge. You monster.
In your universe. In my universe.
Topic.
She is. She is Lucas Scott's mom.
In?
One Tree Hill.
Oh, I've never seen that. Wow. Oof. We better get back on the list.
Wow.
Sexual violence is next on the list.
Yeah, that's the next one.
Right.
You want to include both.
Yeah. The surf guitar doo-wop combination, I think, starts to reach its full maturation here.
Yes.
It gets to be my favorite Mulholland Drive, but like it's all good.
It's all good.
We're getting there.
It's all good.
Weird voices.
Weird voices.
Real weird voices.
Again, we're tipping the territory. Again, next Mulholland Drive is kind of
Well, this movie, you can feel that he is getting comfortable experimenting again.
Yes.
In part because of his freedom. And he never really lost that freedom again in feature films.
Yeah.
And I think as a result, all the ideas that become his staples are present in this film, just not fully matured yet. This is the first time since Dune that David Lynch has had actual artistic freedom. And so he's starting to feel more comfortable experimenting again, like he did in Eraserhead. And therefore, and he never loses that in his filmography after this. So all the ideas that become fully Lynch, that feel like Lynch films, they all have little seedlings in this film, which is, I think, one of the reasons why it's so fondly remembered and beloved.
Yeah.
And look out, because everything after this, it's gonna get weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Oh, so ready. Ooh, so ready.
Ooh, yeah.
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 Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for listening to LynchPins. If you enjoyed the show, tell a friend. Be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button. And if you really enjoyed the show and want to help us make more episodes, get access to exclusive bonus content, and see your name in the video podcast credits, head over to patreon.com/Maggie May Fish. LynchPins is hosted by me, Maggie May Fish, and Adam Ganser. Produced by Will Reese, with original music composed and produced by Daniel Klein. And be sure to join us next time for David Lynch's Mulholland Drive.